Tell me if this is you. You've been exploring plant-based eating for a while now and see it can help you health-wise. But there's a big worry on your mind. It's that eating this way means you'll have to eat beans. After all, everything you've looked into or read so far about plant-based eating mentions beans, so it seems to be a necessary part of a plant-based diet. But that's the problem. You hate beans, or at least you've disliked them all your growing up years. So what do you do now? Well, if this is the main roadblock you're facing to beginning a health-transforming plant-based diet, let's talk about it. In this episode, I'll share 3 key reasons why you can still get started eating plant-based, even if you aren't excited about the beans. Ready? Let's go! Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi friend, do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. Hi friend, are you wanting to start plant-based eating but feel you can't? You know your heart issues and high cholesterol can improve on a plant-based diet, and you really want to change your lifestyle. But you're facing challenges that just seem to make eating this way seem impossible. Challenges like pain, so you can't really stand for long in the kitchen, and a hectic work schedule, so you don't have much time to spare for cooking anyway. Well, if those are your challenges, know that moving to plant-based eating is still possible and can actually be enjoyable. And the best part? It won't require long hours in the kitchen prepping or cooking. Let me show you how. Reach out to me at healthnow@plantnourish.com or apply for a free rapid health transformation call using the links in the show notes. Let's reach your health and weight goals together. Now let's talk about beans and a plant-based diet. Have beans never been high on your list of favorite food items? And in fact, if you were honest, they were always down in the bottom 3, after moldy bread and century-old eggs. You could probably count the number of times you've eaten them on one hand, and you didn't enjoy any of those bean encounters. Yet it seems that beans are often eaten in a plant-based diet, based on the pictures you've seen in vegan cookbooks and what you've read online. Well, if you think eating beans will be your biggest struggle on a plant-based diet, you're not alone. It's a challenge for many others too. Like this member in my community who shared with me, I don't eat beans or lentils. I don't like them. They make me gag. Wish I did like them okay, but I don't see me eating beans. I actually hate them and always have as long as I can remember. She feels quite strongly about beans, doesn't she? Another member simply told me, I don't like beans. So what's the truth? How important are beans when eating plant-based, and must you include them if you want to eat a plant-based diet? Let's dig into this now. To start us off, let's take a closer look at beans. What's all the hype about them? Well, I think of beans as little micro-powerhouses because they come loaded with so many nutrients. These include protein, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and many disease-fighting compounds. Beans are also high in dietary fiber and contain unsaturated fatty acids. Research shows consistently that regular bean consumption is associated with a significant reduction in heart disease risk and cardiovascular-related deaths. The main factors for this are its ability to lower cholesterol, along with weight reduction and lowering obesity. Regular bean intake also helps to reduce blood sugar levels and lower the risk of type 2 diabetes. Also, if we look at the diets of centenarians in the blue zones, one common factor in their diets is not only how predominantly plant-centered their diets are, but of how beans and other legumes form a key component of their meals. That's why I, along with many other plant-based diet experts, recommend including well-cooked beans regularly into meals, simply because of the huge number of health benefits you would gain for both health and longevity. I hope you understand now why beans are often a recommended part of a whole food plant-based diet. But even if you don't like beans, you can still enjoy a health-boosting plant-based diet. And here are just 3 reasons why, out of many. The first reason is this: they aren't compulsory. Beans are not a compulsory part of this eating pattern. This means that you don't absolutely need to eat beans in order to be eating a healthful whole food plant-based diet. Yes, they are definitely beneficial health-wise, but beans are not absolutely crucial to include. That's because besides beans, there's a whole world of other plant-based foods to try and enjoy. These include more than 1,000 cultivated vegetable species, over 2,000 edible mushroom species that are safe for consumption, though only a fraction is being commercially cultivated currently, and at least 22 different whole grain varieties. There's also an abundance of different types of fruits, nuts, and seeds to choose from. So I hope you see that it won't be the end of the world if you don't eat beans. Now here's reason number 2. You can still get good nutrition. As you have heard earlier, beans are a great protein and nutrient source to include in your plant-based meals. But even if you omit them from your diet, you can still get adequate nutrition by making your meals as varied as possible in the other plant-based food categories. That's because other plant-based foods and ingredients are also rich in vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and disease-fighting compounds. All plant-based foods such as whole grains, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables also contain protein, just to varying amounts. So if you are not eating beans, you can still get adequate intake of protein and other nutrients from these other food sources with more careful planning. In fact, one well-known plant-based celebrity, Chef AJ, doesn't eat beans because she appears to be allergic to them. But this has not stopped her from having a healthful plant-based diet over a number of years. Instead, she focuses a lot more on whole grains, starchy tubers, fruits, leafy greens, and other vegetables in her diet. In her hostess summits and trainings, she often mentions the fact that she checks her blood work yearly, and her labs always come back being in a good range. Let's move on to reason 3. It's not only beans. If you're not familiar with the plant-based world, you may not be aware of this. Beans are actually part of a much larger category called legumes. Quite simply put, legumes refer to the fruit of plants in the Fabaceae family. And under this broad category, there are actually many different types and kinds, and all with tremendous health benefits for the body. Just some examples would be red lentils, chickpeas or garbanzo beans, soybeans, split peas, and red beans. Lentils, split peas, mung beans, and chickpeas don't look like the typical bean, and they don't all taste the same either. In fact, peanuts fall botanically into the legume group as well, even though many consider peanuts a nut. Are you surprised to know this? So even if you don't like the typical common bean varieties you've eaten, like black beans or red kidney beans, know that there are many other different types within the legume family you can try and may enjoy. So today we looked at some key benefits of beans and a common question many who dislike beans have about starting a plant-based diet. Do you have to eat beans if you're on a plant-based diet? And we saw from what I've shared in this episode that the answer to this is no. There can be some flexibility or wiggle room depending on your particular situation. We also looked at how a person can still get good nutrition eating plant-based without including beans in meals, as well as just how vast the world of legumes is, and how there can be different kinds and types of beans to try. So it can be possible for you to find a few kinds you may like, when you begin your plant-based diet transition. I hope this episode helped to relieve you of some worries about starting a plant-based diet. If you're seriously considering eating plant-based but aren't fond of beans, remember, I am here if you need more support and guidance to help you make a smoother and more stress-free transition to a plant-powered lifestyle. Just reach out to me at healthnow@plantnourish.com. I want to support you on your plant-based diet journey towards reaching the best health. Thank you for listening to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. If this podcast has helped you, please take a moment to rate and leave a written review on the Apple Podcast app or on iTunes. Knowing how this podcast has made a difference in your life never fails to light me up. I may also select your review to be read on the show. Remember that moving to plant-based eating can be simple and doable, even with your existing health challenges and busy lifestyle. If you have a plant-based diet question you'd like me to answer on this show, share that question with me using the contact options in the show notes. Thanks for joining me today, and I can't wait to connect with you again in the next episode. Until next time, keep plant-focused and thriving, my friend.